I didn't mean to see anything. That's the part one keep replaying in my head, over and over, like a broken record. As if repeating it enough times could somehow erase what happened, as if good intentions could magically undo the moment my world tilted on its axis. It was a Thursday. I'll never forget that detail because Thursdays had always been my longest, most exhausting days. I worked in property management, endless tenant complaints, last-minute repair requests, mountains of paperwork that never seemed to shrink. Normally, I dragged myself through the front door around 6:30 p.m., bone-tired and craving nothing more than a hot meal and silence. But that particular Thursday, everything changed. I finished early, miraculously, and pulled into our quiet suburban driveway just after 4 p.m. No warning. No text to my husband Mark. Nothing. Mark's truck wasn't there, which didn't surprise me. He was out on a big construction site in Aurora and had already warned me he'd be home late. The house looked perfectly normal from the outside. Neatly trimmed lawn, flower bed still blooming, the same peaceful suburban street where every home looked like it belonged in a lifestyle magazine. I let myself in through the garage, dropped my purse on the kitchen counter with a soft thud, and kicked off my heels. The cool tile felt heavenly under my aching feet. For the first time in weeks, the house felt blissfully empty. Just me. No husband, no stepson rushing between college assignments and part-time jobs. I actually smiled to myself, imagining a rare moment of peace, a glass of chilled white wine, a long, uninterrupted shower, maybe even some mindless Netflix to unwind. Then I heard it. A faint sound from upstairs. Not loud, just movement. At first, my brain tried to rationalize it away. Maybe I'd left the TV on in the guest room that morning. Maybe the cat had knocked something over. Or perhaps the old house was simply settling. But then it came again. A muffled noise. Almost like a soft laugh, or a gasp. My body froze instantly. A cold spike of adrenaline shot through me. In that split second, every worst-case scenario flooded my mind. Burglar, intruder, something dangerous. Without thinking, I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, one of Mark's heavy-duty flashlights sitting by the garage door. It felt solid and reassuring in my grip, even though I didn't turn it on. I held it like a club, my knuckles turning white. The peaceful house suddenly felt threatening. Every creak of the floorboards under my feet sounded deafening as I crept toward the staircase. My heart was hammering so loudly I was sure whoever, or whatever, was upstairs could hear it. I moved slowly, deliberately, trying not to breathe too hard. Step by step, I climbed. The sound grew clearer with every stair. It wasn't random movement anymore. There was a rhythm to it now. Soft, breathy, intimate. It took my brain longer than it should have to process what I was actually hearing. When the realization finally hit, it landed like a punch to the stomach. Confusion, disbelief, and a strange, sickening wave of denial all crashed over me at once. The sounds were coming from Jason's room. Jason, my 19-year-old stepson. Mark's son from his first marriage. I'd known him since he was 14, watched him grow from a quiet, awkward teenager into a confident young man home from college for spring break. He was supposed to be out with friends that afternoon. At least, that's what he'd told us at breakfast. The door to his room was slightly ajar. He had forgotten to lock it. I should have turned around right then. I should have gone back downstairs, poured that glass of wine, and pretended I heard nothing. But curiosity, mixed with that lingering maternal concern, pulled me forward. Just a quick peek, I told myself. Just to make sure everything was okay. I moved closer, my bare feet silent on the carpet. Through the narrow gap in the door, I saw more than I ever wanted to. There he was, Jason, on his bed, not alone. A girl I didn't recognize, probably around his age, was with him. Their bodies were tangled in a moment of raw, private passion. Clothes scattered across the floor. The soft moans and rhythmic movements I had heard from downstairs now made perfect, horrifying sense. Time seemed to slow down. My face burned with embarrassment. My stomach twisted with shock. 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind in that single frozen second. This isn't happening. He's still just a kid in my head. What do I do? Do I say something? Do I back away quietly? But I didn't move fast enough. In that exact moment, Jason's eyes suddenly met mine through the crack in the door. His expression shifted from pleasure to pure panic in an instant. The girl noticed his reaction and turned her head too. I stumbled backward, the heavy flashlight slipping from my numb fingers and clattering loudly onto the hallway floor. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the sudden silence. I'm so sorry, I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. I came home early. I didn't know. I didn't wait for a response. I turned and practically ran downstairs, my heart still racing, cheeks flaming with shame and confusion. That night, the house felt anything but peaceful. Mark came home late, oblivious, chatting about his long day at the site. Jason stayed in his room for hours. When he finally came down for dinner, we avoided eye contact. The air between us was thick with unspoken words. I kept telling myself it was an accident. I didn't mean to intrude. I didn't mean to see what I saw. But deep down, I knew something fundamental had shifted in our family dynamic that day. Curiosity had opened a door that could never be fully closed again. And the worst part? A tiny, guilty corner of my mind kept replaying the moment, not out of disgust, but out of a strange, complicated mix of protectiveness, shock, and something I still don't know how to name.